Hello, hi, my name's Kate, and I don't know who this will help or whether it is helpful or not, but I've met a few people recently who have described kind of dizziness symptoms and being kind of fobbed off, I guess, a bit by their GPs or doctors and not being referred for things and just feeling really isolated and alone about it. And I wanted to just kind of, I don't really post on YouTube, but I guess just come on and talk a bit about my experience as like a platform for other people, just to kind of say that what you're experiencing is real, and other people do definitely experience it. A lot of people do, and you're not going mad. I did think when my PPPD symptoms were happening, I didn't know what it was, that I was having a nervous breakdown and that I was having a serious kind of mental health problem, and because I didn't feel like it was a mental health problem, but I was being told that it probably was, that really sent me into quite a spiral. So I hope that this is a video that tells you a bit more about what PPPD is, what it feels like, and then if you've got those symptoms and you think that you've got things going on that can't be explained, and that this will kind of inspire you to do a bit more research and just to know that it's okay. You know, it's there's nothing seriously wrong with you. You're not gonna pass out or drop down dead the next day. It sometimes feels that way, but that's not the truth. So in short, I had a couple of years ago, I had one particular dizziness episode when I was on my laptop at home, and I've never experienced, I guess I've been really lucky, I've never experienced just sudden dizziness before and lightheadedness. So I was really panicked by it. I ended up calling my husband, who was giving blood at the time, and he was with a nurse, and then the nurse said call 111. I called 111, and because of I'd panicked. I had like kind of almost heart attack symptoms because I was so stressed by what had happened. They sent an ambulance. When the ambulance came, there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. All my vitals were perfect, and they couldn't really explain what happened. They put out a bit of low blood sugar, or like a momentary, low blood pressure, something like that. So I went to my GP, had a blood test, checked my blood pressure, like all the checks you would do. Everything was completely normal, and I'd been feeling quite like almost high adrenaline for quite a long time. I felt, that feeling when you're really, really busy, and like everything is kind of, you feel really pumped. I felt like that quite a lot, or like what I describe as like a fizzy feeling just in my eyes, and just it's really hard to describe, and if you're having symptoms you'll know what it's like to describe, but just feeling quite on edge, and a bit headachy, and just a bit scrambled and a bit brain foggy for quite a long time. I put it down to the kind of work that I do and being, on edge a bit and stressed, and moments of anxiety around work, as I'm sure lots of people do. And then I had a few other moments like that, but then you go to the doctor and there's no problem whatsoever, and I just thought, oh, it's just the odd thing. And then I was working away, and I went to the theatre actually and had another moment of this kind of sudden dizziness, lightheadedness feeling, and again the ambulance got called, and because I felt like I was about to pass out, and again went through all the checks at hospital, no problem whatsoever. But after that episode, then there was like a barrage of symptoms. So I had and this is I try and describe what it's like, just in fear of dizziness constantly, like and the dizziness causing what I now know to be panic symptoms after, you know, a year and a half of thinking this through and doing a lot of research. But what I was experiencing was dizziness followed by cold hands and feet, tingling, palpitations, generalized anxiety, all these kind of things, hot and cold, and then followed by periods of lots of lightheadedness, kind of slightly blurry vision. Other symptoms that I've had, when I'm walking along feeling like the ground is kind of dropping beneath you, or that your feet or body feels really heavy, in busy spaces struggling to concentrate, feeling like the walls are closing in a bit, lots of lightheadedness for no reason, particularly worse after being on a computer screen. That's like being at work. I'm like wiped out afterwards because I've just been concentrating, and my eyes feel like they're struggling to cope. What else have I had? Oh, caffeine. It's just terrible. If I have any, I got a decaf coffee with me right now. If I have any caffeine, the symptoms are so much worse. Also alcohol, because I feel like because of me feeling lightheaded a lot and a bit like woozy. Woozy is a big word that rings true, PPPD. If I have alcohol, it just makes it so much worse, and then I feel constantly like I'm not sure whether things are moving or not moving. My perception of things has shifted. So like, again, hard to describe, but for instance, if I was walking on a road and there was a curb and I didn't see it and I kind of stepped off of it, I'd have to sit down after that, because it just makes me feel like the world has shifted and I wasn't aware of it. So like little triggers or changes in an environment cause big kind of ramifications, and my perception is off. And after like a year of this being on and off, and after this big episode, it went on like this for like 4 or 5 months. I had to give up my job, and I got like a more simple job, thinking that it was stress that was making me dizzy. So I got something that was quite practical, but I was fighting symptoms the whole time, and just also that comes with it like so much anxiety about the symptoms. And then of course, because your vestibular system is really impacted and linked with your mental health, I guess. So the more anxious you are and the more you worry about what's happening to you, it actually makes the symptoms loads worse. It's all very intricately linked, which is another thing that I've discovered. So anyway, after this big episode that I had, and then the kind of 4 to 6 months of feeling really bad, having like episodes of 3 or 4 times a day, I had been back to the doctor multiple times. I think I saw 4 different doctors. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody, I got my case sent to a neurologist who said it wasn't neurology. I had an ECG, nothing wrong with my heart. I had multiple blood tests, nothing wrong with those. And then they referred me in the end to had some panic therapy, which actually was really useful. And I thought it was going to be useful because I thought that everything was stress and anxiety related, and it was kind of in my head, for want of a better term. But actually what the panic therapy did was to manage the symptoms associated with the random dizziness, and that did really then starts to level things out a bit, because obviously that panic is making everything worse anyway. So that was good. But at this point I was just like, it is all mental health, and I'm having a mental health crisis. Even though I've been very aware of, I've done a lot of work around mental health. I work in an industry that is about human behaviour and openness and reflection on yourself, and so I felt like a really open person to all these things. I've done a lot of self-help before and things like that. I read a lot of books, but I felt like for some reason I was having this breakdown. I didn't even know what was causing it, and it was just a horrible feeling. I can't even describe really fully what it what that feels like, to think that your mind is completely broken, but you cognitively have no concept of it, so it's doing stuff, and you just think all the time that you're just losing complete grasp on what's real and what's not. I didn't understand. I started to become really unsure about who I actually was, because I thought I was one person, but then I'm having all these symptoms, which is causing massive alarm bells, and yet I don't know why those things are happening to me. It was a really, really difficult, vicious cycle, and I, having done some research about PPPD, I think I've got a very mild case of it, actually, really. But obviously it hasn't felt mild. It's had a huge impact on my life. So back to the timeline story. So I'd been to all these appointments, and after about a year of this, and just going deeper and deeper into, it's my mind, I'm broken, I'm never going to be the same. How do I even heal from this when I don't know what's wrong with me? One of the doctors that I'd created a nice relationship with, he said, let's just refer you to ENT, let's get your ears properly checked, let's really think about that. My mum had said, I reckon it's an inner ear thing, and it isn't as such an inner ear thing, but that was the only thing that hadn't been investigated. So actually the appointment to see an ENT was 43 weeks, and having lived with this for over a year, I was like, I'm going to go privately and just get one appointment and just see someone really good and just explain. And interestingly, 2 nights before, because I've been searching for a year basically of what could be wrong with me, going through every single possible illness, and really randomly a study came up on PPPD, and I read the symptoms and I just started crying, because I knew that everything on the symptom list was what I'd been experiencing. So I thought, when I went to this ENT, I won't mention it, I've got it in the back of my head, I'll see what he says. And he did all the tests on me for vertigo and various other things, which I know it's not, because I've never had the spinning sensation. He said it's PPPD. And then I cried a lot again. And that's been a real breakthrough, in that, knowing that that's what the condition is, and it's not life-threatening at all. I'm not having a mental health crisis or a nervous breakdown. I mean, the nervous system is all interconnected with it, and it is something to be taken seriously, but it's not a physiological or a psychological, I guess I should say. It's not a psychological issue. It's a vestibular system misalignment, basically, which then causes psychological problems because of the anxiety and the worry about, and the feeling of your perception changing as a result. So that was a massive breakthrough. And off the back of that, I got an MRI test just to check there wasn't anything else going on, and my MRI came back completely clear. So I do know now that it is PPPD, and it has helped a lot, but I still really struggle with it. Some days I actually feel great. I had a period of 3 weeks not that long ago where I felt normal, and I was just like so thankful for it. So great. It's like the world was amazing for 3 weeks, and then little symptoms kick in, and as I've said before, I think I do have a mild case of it. I've read since, and seen on YouTube people who really struggle to get up in the morning, and everything is dizzy, and they worry about falling, and they fall a lot, and all of this. And I'm lucky that I've been able to kind of stabilize myself enough that I'm not worried about falling and things like that. But my main thing is, I'll be having a lovely day, like yesterday. I'll sit down to dinner or something. Normally it is when I rest a second that it comes on, because I think I'm noticing the symptoms. I'm hypervigilant, which is a big problem. You become hypervigilant of everything your body and your mind and your eyes and your ears are doing. So you pick up so much more, and you're constantly analysing your health, and that's what the problem is, a big part of the problem. But like yesterday, I sat down for dinner, and just felt really lightheaded, really out of it, struggling to concentrate on conversations. And then the thoughts come. There's something really wrong with me. What if I pass out? What if I'm going to die and I'll never see my daughter again? You know, because your mind starts to spiral because you know you don't feel right. You know your brain is being told, and you're in that moment thinking there's something really wrong with me because this isn't normal. And it's the most bizarre, anxiety-inducing feeling. And I think it's just safety mechanism. If you feel lightheaded, you immediately think, right, I need to put my head down, or oh, I feel faint, I'm going to pass out. It's like your body knows what to do when those feelings happen. You know you need to be lying down or get down on the floor. That is the instinct that kicks in when you start to feel lightheaded and woozy. Because if you're lightheaded and woozy, those are normally symptomatic of bigger issues. So it's like in those moments my mind and body get very confused. And it's that fear, to be honest, quite consistent fear of death, collapse, things becoming worse, that is crippling, basically. So going forward, there are lots of things you can do and try. I'm just going to check the time. It's meant to be somewhere else. I should go. That you can do. You can take certain medications, normally quite heavy antidepressants, just to kind of chill your nervous system, which can help. Vestibular rehabilitation is meant to be good. I haven't tried it yet. You can do exercises for your eyes to help everything kind of interconnect, which I haven't tried, but I was sent by the ENT I saw privately, so I need to get on that. You can also take anti-anxiety medication, which I've told myself if things get worse I will consider, because I think that would help with the worry associated with it and the thoughts. And then there's also therapy to kind of deal with the thoughts. And it's so frustrating because I know what the deal is. I know when I'm feeling lightheaded now, like I'm 100% sure it's PPPD, but it's just dealing with those thoughts and being confident enough at the moment to say I'm fine. And I think if I can get to a point where I can say that, I do think that my symptoms will also reduce in general. I think the whole thing is, for me, quite interconnected. But anyway, this is an intro video. I'll put it up. If I get any likes or any comments, then I can post about how I found what I'm trying to kind of rehabilitate myself, and that might be useful to see what works and what doesn't for me. But if I don't, then that's absolutely fine. But I just wanted to put this there in case it's helpful, and feel free to comment. I would love to make someone else feel like they're not going, they're not having a mental health crisis, and that you're going to be okay, and it's okay, and people do experience this, and don't worry, try not to panic. And when people are telling you basically that it's all in your head, know that it's not in your head. You're not making this up. That's all I kind of wanted to get out there, because it has been such a life changer, this one, and very emotional in many ways. So I'm really impressed I haven't cried in this video, because I thought I probably would. And you can go back to work, you can get back on your feet. There is hope, and just try and take time for yourself, try and relax, try and treat yourself to things. Just self-care is key and really important. Just take downtime, take naps. I find lack of sleep is a horrible trigger, which is hard when you've got a 2-year-old at home like I do, but just these things are all really important. And just wishing everyone luck with their own experience. And there are some great other people on YouTube that I will connect with that offering all sorts of different ideas around how to get better, and some really positive things. So yeah, do keep looking. There is a lot around. Yeah, thanks for listening. Hope this is helpful. Bye.